for me, baby. Pokemon and Dolly, costing plenty money. When a man is walking, it is humiliating. I walk Santa, like me Christmas wish, keep it on your list. Whoa, Santa, whoa, Santa, whoa, Santa, 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 pressure. Oh, oh, oh. What are that whole thing that Santa is no laughing matter? I was a walk Santa. It's a work I stay for. I want to laugh. I walk Santa. I want to walk to take care of my family. Yes, I want to walk Santa. Oh, God, I walk Santa. Help me keep it dignity. I want to walk Santa. Help me feed my family.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Good morning, happy Sunday to you. Welcome to Eye on Dependency. My name is Natasha and I have Garth in studio with me as well. Good morning to you if you're listening on I-95.5 FM, and especially if you are tuned in on to our live streams on Facebook or YouTube. And please bear with us this morning. If the stream drops, please look for the updated one. We're having some internet issues, so bear with us if you're watching online.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to our Dependency. And we have a very tight, packed program for you this morning. Let me just set the stage for you. We have in studio with us Mr. Burton Hill, who is no stranger to our Dependency. Mr. Burton Hill is the welfare officer at the Women's Prison, Golden Grove. Good morning, Mr. Hill.
Good morning, God. Good morning, Natasha. Thank you very much.
As you know, Mr. Hill is very passionate about his job, his career, and he's here with us this morning for a reason. And as you know, the basis of this program, the foundation, it started off with me telling my story as a crack addict. And that was 34 plus years ago. When I walked out of Golden Grove Prison, Frederick Street Prison, 11th of June, 1991, I never looked back. And I decided that from my experience in that era, something was going to come down. It's going to snowball. It's going to snowball into something that going to leave everybody with their scratching their heads, trying to figure out what hit us. Well, I'm lived to see it today, and all we can do is keep trying to educate you. As this family, Debra and John, we will bring them on the phone in a minute, so you can hear their experience. And Mr. Hill has comprehensive knowledge of this, so Mr. Hill sort of guest hosting with us this morning. Mr. Hill, how are things with you and your journey into discovering the answers or trying to find the answers about substance abuse, especially marijuana abuse, now that it has been decriminalized?
I really want to first of all say thank you very much to Natasha and God for your years of service. Every time I tune into your program and every time we talk, I am always astonished at the level of commitment that you and your wife have displayed over the years, notwithstanding the topic not being very savvy. However, in recent times, as a parent, first of all, and as a colleague, as a friend to several persons, and as an individual, because I shared with God, Natasha, sometime year before, I had went in the bush to hunt during the hunting season, and the guys smoking something and take a little pull with them, man, right? And I think that too is something. I realized that the topic is taboo. It's so open, but it's taboo.
Yeah.
It's a kind of complex dance we do with addiction and the use of marijuana, where we have lots of people doing it, but lots of people not talking about it.
Correct.
So I called Garth and we had a good laugh. And then out of the laugh, I said, God, this thing is serious. More and more people are experimenting with the edibles. More and more people are experimenting with just smoking. And I always count myself fortunate because I started to smoke as a teenager. And I have so many friends who I see up to now, either in prison or out of prison, who have turned to begging on the streets. They've never been motivated enough to move beyond what we know to be their full potential. So everything is just irie, the nice, the good. And then as a parent now, having a conversation with my two children, we started to talk about marijuana use, the option, the benefits, the advantages, disadvantages. And then when I started to talk to colleagues on work and friends, I realized a whole lot of people are being affected in the home. And they are now trying to navigate. This thing is now decriminalized, which I applaud. And I want to say that because I want to say good morning to my Commissioner of Prisons, Mr. Carlos Carraspi, who gave me graciously permission to be on air to talk about this issue. And I appreciate and applaud his acknowledgement of the professional role that prison welfare officers play in the system and in the public. So when we started to talk about how parents and children, and I had this conversation yesterday, adult children, because in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, we have an interesting culture where people don't move out of their parents' home, yes. Contrary to places like North America and the UK and Canada and so on. We have adult male and females living in their parents' home way into their 30s and sometimes 40s. So they are called adult children, okay? Yes. How do they now navigate the decriminalization of marijuana and the use within the confines of the home? Because the law says it cannot be used in a public place. It is not legalized. It is decriminalized. So I hear plenty of people saying it, including my children when we had the initial conversation. Well, it's legal. I'm saying no. Decriminalize means that you will no longer be arrested. You will no longer be convicted for 30 grams or less, or having 4 trees at your home. That's it. If you are caught on the block smoking marijuana, you'll be arrested. In a bar, you'll be arrested. In the beach, you'll be arrested. Anywhere that is deemed a public place, you will be arrested and can be arrested and convicted. Okay? So having that conversation and then realizing I had to navigate this conversation and then talking to other friends and realizing, wait now, more and more people are having this challenge. So immediately I reached out to God. We started to talk about it because I met this family and this family in my course of work, and this family was having an extremely difficult time. And I mean, I counted it fortunate that my son and I were able to work out and negotiate a point, because I started to talk about, okay, son, if you want to get into the Coast Guard or the Air Guard or the Defense Force, you have to do a drug test. So it's decriminalized. Is it necessary? Is it so valuable to you to smoke if you want a career? Then he started to roll back and think about it. Because some people still do not appreciate that for employment purposes, it's illegal to use marijuana to operate vehicles and aircraft and motor vehicle and so on. And employers have the right to request a drug test before you are employed, and some employers, based on the nature of your work, let's say you're a crane operator, you're operating some machinery, that they can impose mandatory drug testing to ensure that you are not performing your duties under the influence of marijuana.
Correct.
So it's a deep issue, and I realize more and more families are having. If I was having the challenge, then I started to talk to my other social work friends and realized this thing is a serious issue. And I thank you all for the opportunity for us to get into it.
Right. So after this break, we'll return and you'll hear from Debra and John what they experience. And we have had these phone calls. Natasha is my witness nearly every day. And the ages are dropping because now we have 15, 16, 17, even sometimes 12. Take their first smoke of marijuana. And that's it. They end up in St. Anne's.
Yes.
Now, we were having a conversation of the, and we'll go to a break and return with John, Debra and John, right? And you'll hear their story and what they experienced with their daughter. Now, we were having a conversation off the air. Sometimes it's not a choice. Sometimes drugs, alcohol, gambling choose people. Why? Because of predisposition. Look at you, for instance. Look at your boss, for instance. Look at his deputy, for instance. How were you all able to go through your entire career without falling prey? Mr. Bruce, Mr. Karaspi, you, Mr. Wilson, we could go down the line. How were you all able to do it? Because some people are just predisposed, and out of curiosity, they don't know their genes, and they say, they get encouraged. You know, you are a recruit when we pass out. It's drink evermore, right? Because after that 6 weeks of brutal training, you want to let your hair down. I have seen members of my batch. After that recruit training came to an end, died alcoholics.
Excess.
And they couldn't stop because they opened that door and it's in their DNA. So let's go to a break. And when we return, because like I said, we have two officials. We have a social worker to chat with, Ms. Olivieri, but more importantly, we have officials from Gender Affairs Ministry, Office of the Prime Minister, in persons of Jason Forbes and Lloyen Scotland. They're going to come, we're going to speak to, because we're dealing with men issues here, and 16 days of activism. So we're going to tie all into one. You'll find out what the ministry is doing as well. And we thank them for understanding that National Security Ministry needs this kind of, this balance in helping us understand things. So we thank the Office of the Prime Minister for that. So let's go to a break, Natasha, can we?
Yes.
You okay? And we're going to come right back because, this is the shortest 2 hours in radio. So we're going to take that quickly and come with Debra and John. You will hear their story. You have parents out there who are experiencing this. Listen to this couple this morning and see how they were able to navigate and see how maybe you might be able to do it too as well. Remember, there's predisposition, there's curiosity, low self-esteem, all of these things that cause people to walk through that door. And some of us are not able to return. And we just go through that revolving door in prison or we're dead. We're going to be back. Stay right here.
Yes, girl. Online here with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It looking good, boy. I putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
Good day. I am PC Gray of the IATF Hearts and Minds program. Today we are the Court Song Specialist Spaniard, where we have members of the Beverly Hills Police Youth Club taking on the initiative of Pan Practice. This is one of the many initiatives that we have presently ongoing right now at the IATF Hearts and Minds program.
Alright, hello everyone. My name is Akim Laria. Alright, I am a musician full-time I am working along with the court sound specialist of Laventille Youth Steel Orchestra. And this is a program started along with the ITF, and we are working along with them to, create a safe space for the youths to grow, right? Learn about music.
Do you want to support our work at Ion Dependency? Here are 3 ways to do so. You can make a donation to the Ion Dependency account at Republic Bank. You can follow the Ion Dependency page on Facebook. You can subscribe to the Ion Dependency channel on YouTube. Liking, commenting, and sharing the live on a Sunday also helps. Thanks in advance for your support.
Ion Dependency, with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
All right,
Thank you for staying with us. Yes.
So we have John on the line. Let's go to him. John is a parent. You could start the conversation with John Burton, because we want to find out what this couple experienced. This is a mother and father.
Yes.
And this is something significant too, because every time we got calls, it's just from a mother alone. Mm-hmm. So let's yeah, don't worry, you could hear through here. So let's speak with John. Morning, John.
Hey, morning, Burton. Morning, Mr. Gart Sinclair. Morning, Natasha.
Morning.
Morning to the listening population.
Morning. Thanks so much, John and Debra, for being willing to share with the public your story. And definitely, as a parent, I know it has been difficult for me navigating decriminalization of marijuana. So, I really want to applaud your willingness to share with the public and to sensitize the public about your experience. And hopefully we'll be able, at the end of this discussion, to, guide parents where there is help. Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So the floor is open to you, John and Debra.
Okay, so I'll let my wife talk first, right?
All right. So, Debra, morning, Debra.
Morning.
Yes, so tell us, how did this all start for you?
Right. So I had 2 children. So an adult daughter, when I say adult, over 18, and then a minor, a son. So he was under the age of 18. So my daughter started using, as they say, experimenting at an age. And when marijuana became decriminalized, that's when I saw an increase in the use. I will talk to her about it, but they will say it legalized, as Burton was saying earlier. Eventually, she started to show signs of psychosis. We took her to Eric Williams, because at first we wasn't sure what was the symptoms. We took her to Eric Williams. They kept her there They sedated her, did some tests, and then eventually told us they needed to transfer her to St. Anne's. That was a big thing for us home. Eventually, we went and admitted her. She was diagnosed with substance-induced psychosis due to abuse of marijuana. Well, marijuana was her choice of drug. From there, after 2 weeks, she was discharged, and we got a letter to take her to the mental health clinic within our area, where we did. And then we went to Cora Hospital, and every Thursday I will take her for the in-house program for her to get into the program to actually stay in. Prior to that, while going through that, we had private visits with a psychiatrist, private visits with a psychologist, and we also visited Teen Challenge. We visited New Life Ministries at Mountain Benedict.
Yes.
So while that was going on, my smaller son now, the younger one, started acting out. Then when we got investigated, he as well began using marijuana, and he was under the age. So with the bigger daughter eventually getting into Cora, after one day, but Cora is a voluntary program, so after one day, she didn't want to stay, and we had to go for her because they called us and said it's a voluntary program, she doesn't want to stay, and we took her out and we placed her in a private facility. The private facility, we had to pay for it, we had to pay for the doctor, we had to pay for the psychologist, and that was our last resort. So we took that last resort. Financially, we weren't able to leave her in there, so she wasn't able to start the program per se because she was only there for 1 month, and I would say that 1 month was just withdrawal for her to go through all her withdrawal period, and after that 1 month we had to take her out because we couldn't afford it financially. With her now, we ended up with any, I must say any, helped us as a family because they have a group that assists family how to cope. So that helped us.
And what is the position now as it stands?
Well, I must say he is much. Well, the smaller one, the smaller son, he is still we're still working with him because so let me finish with the bigger one is at NA. She's at NA and she's coping much better. She's working. She still attends the meeting, and she's doing much better. But the smaller son now, my smaller son now, when he started, but his psychosis was aggressive. He was very aggressive. So my bigger daughter wasn't aggressive. However, she would write up her room. That's so her psychosis symptoms was different than the son psychosis. So he was very aggressive. So he now, I reached out to the school first because we would drop him to school and pick him up. So he was getting the drug at the school. So I reached out to the school first. When I didn't get any help from the school, I went down to the Ministry of Education, and I spoke to the head of the social work department there. Eventually, he was seen by the social worker in the school. After I went visited the Ministry of Education, and then the social worker left at the school, so there was no social worker. Then I reached out to the Ministry of Social Development for him. They took all my information, they never returned the call. Eventually, I took him before Children Authority. I went to the court for him. And one of the things the master said to me, he said, Ma'am, if you think you're coming to the court to get expedited service, there's a long waiting list. So eventually, he as well was admitted to St. Anne's for his symptoms, came back out, we sent him to the private facility as well. And the last help we actually got for him, and same thing, we couldn't afford to keep them in the facility. We couldn't afford it. We really couldn't afford it. We reached out to Childline, and Childline assisted us with him with 6 sessions. They as well told us to go to Eric Williams because there's a child clinic there. We have been there July this year, and up to now, no response. We never got a feedback from them. So it has been really, really difficult. It's still a coping. It's difficult as parents seeing your children going down this road and getting the help that you need.
Now, Debra, let me ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just to let you know that you all are not alone. All right? I know there's no comfort, but I can assure you, you all are not alone, because you said one thing, and the Ministry of Education could only do so much, because we have adults in our population who are giving children drugs to go to school and sell. Yeah. It's mind-blowing. Yes. It's crazy, but it's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. That we have to appeal to the hearts of people now to stop doing that. Let's start with that. However, your family, is there any, whether on your side or on John's side, any history of substance abuse?
Well, yeah, we have alcohol abuse. We do have, but there is alcohol. So there is that predisposition of
addiction.
Yes.
Of addiction, yes.
Yeah.
And the psychologist told, going through the private psychologist, he brought that to our attention.
Right.
And to our daughter as well as our son.
Because we remember the chart we displayed here for people, I don't know if they paid attention. But if you have a family where grandfather or grandmother, it can be passed on from generation to generation. You will have carriers in the family, but you'll have the affected child or two. And once they touch a substance, you open that door. Remember, I just referred to you about recruit training. Mm-hmm. Everybody joined the service, hale and hearty, they don't know their DNA. And this is why we encourage parents now to have this discussion with your children now in 2024. Because which one of you is like playing Russian roulette?
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And Debra, I wanted to ask too, for your daughter, when she began smoking, was she smoking in the house with you? And do you know where she was getting the marijuana from? Did you ever have that conversation?
All right. This is John here. I will take over from there because
sure.
All right, kind of.
She gets emotional.
Now here.
Oh, all right.
Well, we would have picked her up from school, not knowing what was going on. However, when the mom pick her up, she would see sometimes she'd be tired, eyes weary. We would have approached her on it, and she would have denied it.
Right.
Then eventually, we would have took her for a test. And it's there when we found out she was tested positive for having marijuana in her system. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. After that was right before she took the second exam. My wife would have gone to the school and told the principal about it and told him that, we would have been dropping her, picking her up. So the only place that she would be getting it is in the school. And because we don't do it at home because we saw no evidence of it at home.
Okay.
So there, she would have sit the exam, she would have passed. Out of school now, and then during that period it would become decriminalized, and during that period was the COVID. So that means she was home. So nothing during that period, and then eventually when she started to work, there where it went into a kind of spiral, where she met other people smoking, and there where it started, and there where we started to deal with it.
Was she having issues about her school while she was in school? Did she have issues with her schoolwork in terms of, was she under pressure in terms of the exams coming up? Was she okay with
No,
her
I don't think
schoolwork, or
so.
what do you think,
No, I
Michael?
don't think there was any pressure with her schoolwork. To me, after retrospection now, I think low self-esteem. I would put the major criteria, the major aspect to it with her, because after that, she was involved in music, in karate, and swimming. Lost all interest in those. Started to drop out one by one, and then did the exam, would have passed, completed a full certificate, and then there where we saw no more eagerness to do anything else.
Right.
Lack of motivation.
Yes, yes.
One of the
My
signs.
major problem with it is that, as parents, we were not professionals. We were young parents. We were navigating the situation, and looking for help was our major problem.
Yes.
Wherever we went for help, we get a brick wall. And to go beyond that brick wall, we had to have finance.
Yes.
Not having the enough finance to deal with it, we had now to cope and see whoever can give us the help.
John, you said, I think Debra said that the issue was brought to the attention of the school. There would be a PTA. Was there any initiative taken on the part of the school to address the issue in a wider forum, at a class level, at a school level, to start to engage the students about awareness, the dangers, the risk that they are taking with their lives, their future? Was any, with their health, was there any kind of response like that from the school?
Well, but to the best of our knowledge, I can't say if anything was done, because with us, they give us a kind of lay back, a hands-off approach when we met with them. So I can't say if it was done in our absence, but to our best of our knowledge, I would say no.
No. Yeah.
And this goes back, Burton, to what we were talking about off air as well, in terms of the openness of use of drugs, but the inability for us to treat with it in a way that it should be treated. It's taboo, but it's also accepted. It's a very, especially with marijuana, it's a very tricky road that you have to walk. And I could imagine for Debra and John how confusing it would have been, because you have identified that your child has this particular issue, and getting the runaround from authorities and agencies who are tasked to deal with these issues, it must be very frustrating.
For parents listening, Debra and John, what were the clear indicators or signs which you all observed, which sparked some kind of attention to either your daughter or your son using narcotics? And what did you all, did you all have a family meeting? What approach did you all take to treat with the issue when you observed the signs?
With the both of them, it was different. As Debra was saying, the smaller one, we saw the aggressiveness that was never there before.
Right.
He started secondary school during the COVID period, where he was home for maybe close to 2 years. He was a very focused young man, very focused. During that period, he was getting all his grades, and going back out, he started swimming. And during that period, we saw a level of aggressiveness with him. The bigger one, we saw, he was no longer interested in things that he loved.
Yeah, your daughter.
Yes. Yeah, she was no longer interested in things that she loved. She didn't know, she didn't want to go, always wanted to come home, just to be in her room, and stuff like that. So that were indicators.
Yes.
We also had several meetings where, they will deny it. Will deny.
Right.
No, daddy, no, mommy, we not. However, it comes that time where we had to put it to them that, we no longer question you all, or we know, we want to get help for you. And there where, it had the whole some anger moments,
Right.
some real crucial moments, and then eventually they would say, you know what, yes, and we want help.
Yes.
And there where, our issues start up. Yes, help, but what type of help? And then we ask them why they're doing it. It's just for happiness, for relaxation. But
Yeah.
are you willing to take those risks and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Debra wants to chime in.
Yes, so as John was saying, when I first saw it with the daughter, that when I picked her from school, she was withdrawn, and at first she said it was just she just wanted to try it. And being a teenager, I know teenagers they try. It's something you just because when I was a teenager, I tried it as well. But it didn't. We didn't reach to that point. So where now they became dependent on it, and it was affecting their daily lives for them to be productive citizens. And as
John.
my husband was saying, is
Yeah.
that when they decided they wanted the help now and returned for help. It was like we was getting bounced around from here, there, and everywhere, and you're seeing your children deteriorating, and you just don't know what next.
Yeah.
It is indeed, like I said, sometimes we get that helpless feeling, but you won't believe sometimes it's really helpless, and sometimes I feel I need a counselor, Natasha and I, because the kind of work that it's in emotional work.
Yeah.
It's trying to keep a family calm and understand that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But how long is the tunnel? We can't tell them.
Yes.
And the thing is, we have to understand rehab facilities too. Once the individual is still in denial, they become aggressive while in there, the rehab facility will let them go immediately.
Yes.
Because they don't want them disrupting the program.
Then our network or stock of treatment facilities, particularly for young people, is woefully inadequate.
Yes.
And that adds to the.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are services available, counseling and other kind of talk therapy, but if you don't have not only the medical intervention or the residential kind of lockdown, I don't want to say lockdown, but deliberate drug treatment specific to young people, I think that is a failing on the part of the state to not have those facilities available. And as we mentioned, the school and the role that the school plays in terms of allowing access to illicit drugs to children who are in school. I think the Ministry of Education has to take a stronger stand on it. I don't know if they have a drug. I'm sure they have a drug policy on drugs on the school compound.
Yes, of course. Well, the law is the policy. The law
is the policy.
Yes, the law says that you ought not to be 500 meters in radius from a school.
Yeah,
it's considered drug trafficking once you're 500 meters away from a school.
But there are youngsters going to school with it.
Correct.
So
and selling it in the school.
And selling it in the school.
Yes.
They're going with
They're
edibles
using the
as
drugs
well.
in the school.
But let me just go back to something you said with the state, Natasha. We have the National Drug Council.
Yes.
We have NADAP.
Yes.
And these are these are the entities that's supposed to put fire under the government. That's not our job.
Yes.
And if they are not putting fire under them, then we could only come and report the fallout of that,
But as
because
Pearl
remember the
says-
state has a lot on their plate.
Absolutely.
But-
But as Pearl says, drug education. Where's the drug education in schools?
Well, I mean,
we've clearly lacking.
We've tried.
I think Debra said something very important. That Debra, is it that you took both your daughter and your son for testing to confirm after they were denying their use? Is it that you took both of them or just one of them?
Both of them.
Both of them. Yes. So it's important for parents to know. Based on the law, the amendment to the Dangerous Drugs Act 11 of 1125, no minor under the age of 18 ought to be anywhere close to marijuana, even in the home. Even in the home.
Now, who policing that? How?
Even in the home.
So if you have
adults
plants in
ought to know.
the adults in the home
Yes,
have plants.
yes.
How are you keeping the minors?
Yes.
How?
Yes.
How
So
does
that's where when you read the legislation, you do have a number of gray areas in there. So parents, you're hearing Debra and John saying that they took their children to be tested, and any parent who observe any of the signs highlighted by Debra and John, loss in motivation, constantly tired, they are no longer willing to be as vibrant and outgoing.
They become introverted.
They become very introverted. And I heard someone say something one time that they have never seen somebody use marijuana and go crazy. I actually heard a guy say that. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. Because based on what Debra and John is saying, they definitely noticed aggression. So I just want to talk a little bit, Garth, if we could get them to give us some insight into, because there are all these different strains of marijuana now. Because local marijuana long ago, and Miss Oliveri and I spoke about this yesterday over the telephone, the initial strain of marijuana that was available would make you hungry. This strain of marijuana is making you not hungry. So you're not hungry, but you're aggressive. Marijuana of yesteryear would get you calm and you would go to sleep and so on. And it appears as though that the THC content is extremely high in this strain of marijuana. So, Debra, John, if you could tell us a little bit more about the symptoms that you all observed in your daughter versus your son.
Right. Before you all go on, right, I just want to chime in on the marijuana in the schools. When because I would have a conversation with the security, and they would tell me that they limit, they cannot search the child body, and more often the children would carry it within their private parts. So that is one of the issues as the security there. And also we would have conversations with the guidance officer, and more likely she is most of the time in charge of 3 schools. So her clientele is very, very hectic. So that is some of the challenges that the school faced, which we understood.
Right, and to the question Burton asked about the symptoms. So my daughter, she wasn't aggressive. However, she was more like depressed, more introverted, didn't want to do things that she would normally do. Whereas my younger child, the son, he was very aggressive. He would mash up the fan, break down the kitchen cupboard, pelt stuff. So his symptoms was very aggressive, while my daughter's symptoms were more on the depressive, I want to be alone, those kind of symptoms.
Okay, now.
Yes, that is understandable. I wanted to ask Mr. Hill, though, because I heard that in terms of the marijuana that is being grown locally, some of it is being grown indoors and or hydroponically, and that method is easier to increase the level of THC in it. I don't know how much you are aware of this type of growing in Trinidad local.
And not only that, what people are allowed or doing now, remember since decriminalization, there's almost like a glut.
Yes.
Right? So the people now put in additives.
Yes.
Opioids. They're adding it to it.
Yes.
So this is why you're
to
getting a
differentiate
combination.
themselves in the market.
That's
yes.
right. So you're getting a combination of a depressant and stimulant in one drug.
Yep.
And this is why it leads to aggression in some people.
Yes.
Some people actually hearing voices, they're actually seeing things, and they get really aggressive. You remember Neptune some years ago took his wife, looked like a snake in the bed and chopped up the wife thinking it was a snake.
Yeah.
Now, these are the kind of things that can happen, and this is why we want to sound the alarm again, that it is not something to be played with. And what I will ask the state to do is, like the Office of the Attorney General, let us know, do like what we're going to show you all in the coming weeks. Our actual cannabis store in Canada, the owner we interviewed, and the strict regulations that they must face.
Yes.
Because anytime the agents of the state can walk in and test all their products, which must be at a certain percentage. You see, when we decriminalize marijuana and we don't have cannabis shops, then people are left on their own.
Or manage the means of production, because that is the system in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
The person that we spoke to who owns the store, she can only purchase products or the marijuana that is grown by the government.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. They can't buy from anybody else.
Yes.
And it comes with a tag, it comes with a brand, so they will know immediately if you bought the marijuana from the state or you bought it from the underground.
Yes.
Right? So we have Ms. Oliveri on the line. Debra and John, you all hold on. We will speak. Could you introduce Ms. Oliveri?
Yes, Ms. Oliveri, thank you very much for willing to join us this morning. Ms. Oliveri is a psychiatric social worker with more than a decade involved in the care and treatment of persons who are affected by addiction. Ms. Oliveri, thank you very much for being with us this morning.
No problem. The pleasure is mine.
Yes.
Good morning to the panel.
Yes, so great. So I don't know if you were listening earlier about John and Debra, but could you tell us about young people and your experience with young people since decriminalization of marijuana, and what has been the impact on the facilities that you and the client population that you interact with?
Well, when we say young people, are we talking about 18 and under?
18 and under, and then we could talk about 18 and over as well.
All right. So with the 18 and under, I actually operate in twofold. In that I work for the government as well. I am employed, and I also have three private institutions. So I would have seen a great increase in the psychosis aspect and within the usage of marijuana with the under 18 population. Now, it is a bit very challenging because you have parents saying, they have nowhere to go, they don't know where to go, they don't know where to get help, the children using the drugs, the behavioral aspect. And from time to time, we continue to say that the only arm that we can really refer them to is the children's authority, right? Because they are the arm of the state that deals with the children 18 and under, right? With respect to how effective that has been, I am unable to say because I know their hands are really, really full. But from our aspect, we try to do a lot of intervention in terms of counseling, group therapy, helping the parents to plan, right, alternatives, right, getting the child themselves to understand the effects of the marijuana use on their mental health, right, at such an early age.
So
there has definitely been an increase.
So, Ms. Oliveri, I want to say, it might sound funny, but there's herb that is called the healing of the nation. You're saying that it creates such a serious problem among our young people?
Yes, it is. And they see it with the decriminalization. They don't use the word decriminalization because they're telling you straight. When you sit to have a conversation, they say, but auntie, mom, it is legal to smoke X amount. And we constantly have to say to them, it is not legal, it is decriminalized, right? Decriminalized, right? And still, as a child under the age of 18, that part of the law does not apply to you.
Yes.
Because you are still a child. Once you are under 18, right, no parent has the right or have the right to really allow it. But then the parents' hands are tied, right? Because the only arm of the state again is the children's authority. And sometimes there's a delay in the intervention. So the parents now have to take private arrangements in an effort to get their child to stop using this drug.
Yeah. So at this point, I want to just give a number. The Children's Authority hotline is 996-996. So if you're listening to this program at this point in time and you are having difficulty with a young person under the age of 18, they are smoking marijuana, they are exhibiting any of the symptoms spoken about by Debra and John, please feel free to call 996. That's the hotline for the Children's Authority. And they will have persons there to respond to your call and direct you to, I guess, the options available. Ms. Oliveri, tell us a little bit about the options available in the public health system. And then you could give us a little idea of some of the gaps in the public health system which may lead somebody into the private facilities.
Well, as I said before, because we are dealing with this population of 18 and under, the only public rally to make an intervention, ideally, right? Now remember, parents are free to make any arrangement, but ideally, from the state perspective, any issues regarding the children, substance use, behavioral issues, you really should engage the Children's Authority first, and then they have a very competent team that will take you through the assessment, intervention, and planning, that will ideally be geared towards a positive outcome for the child.
Yes, I hear you. Ms. Oliveri, I on Iron Dependency, we hear constantly saying this refrain about persons under the age of 25 not consuming any substances because their brains are not yet fully developed. Is this something that is also being said in your neck of the woods? Are people really grasping this concept?
Well, I'm not sure they are grasping it, but studies would have said that until the age of 25, your brain is still going through development, right? So any substance that you actually ingest or use, right, can have negative effects on the brain, right? And we have seen that. So you find that we have a lot of young people using the same herb or the healing of the nation, as was mentioned before, and they are totally psychotic, right? They have to be admitted to St. Anne's or other private hospitals, right, because of the same drug. So we're trying to preach and really, really let the youth know that, because of the nature of the drug, it is no longer, we have a whole lot of them outside there. We really want them to try to, abstain, right? Yes. However, getting them to actually do that is where the challenge is right now, because they see it as the healing of the nation.
Yes, yeah. and oftentimes they are being introduced to it not by their by their peers initially, but also vicariously by adults.
Yes, through social media, through music.
I agree with you, because I would have had meetings with several parents, and the parents using and the children using. Once the children using and their behavior is okay,
yes,
the parents are not bothered, but it's only when the behavior starts to get, a bit on the abnormal side, then they rush out.
Mm-hmm. What Ms. Oliveri, tell us a little bit about the funding this habit, because I remember smoking marijuana back in 1985, somewhere thereabout, while I was a teenager. 83, 84, somewhere there. Can't remember. It's a long time ago. For $20, you could have gotten like a 5-piece, a 10-piece back then.
Right.
How was the cost, and how are they funding this? Is there a drive towards stealing, getting involved in serious crime now to fund such a habit?
Well, I'm not sure about the serious crime, but I know probably more than 80% of them, it will come from their savings or their stipend, if you want to call it, like, okay, your pocket money again to go to school, because you have, it's no longer 5-piece and 10-piece, it's roll-on.
Okay.
Right? That's a new term. So they're no longer using 5-piece and 10-piece on a joint. So they're saying roll-on. It's 1 or 2 roll-on. So they will get, of course, friends. They use their allowance. They also have, most of them, it's interesting, they have bank accounts, right? So they're doing online transfers. They're actually doing online transfer. And these suppliers, you don't have to go to them. They also offer
Yes.
They're delivering it at your doorstep.
Yes.
And they also have a credit line. So if you are a customer and you don't have money, there's a credit line.
Okay,
Yes.
Ms. Oliver, we just have about five more minutes, and I really value the fact that you took the time on this Sunday morning to be with us. What are the gaps in the public health system that will drive somebody to pursue the option of private support?
Well, I think the major gap in the public health system is the response time, right? The time in which it takes to make an intervention, I think it's too long. The process is too lengthy. So the parents, in an attempt, they're desperate. It's a crisis. So they actually go the private way because the system, again, is overwhelmed. So when they have to respond to a crisis, the parents really can't wait. Right?
No.
So I think the response time is the major gap.
Ms. Oliveri, before you go, I just want to add this fact too. And someone who has been in recovery for years, a friend of ours, just sent me this, and I was just about to say this to you. Now, with the criminalization of marijuana, there seems to be more addiction among our secondary school students. The problem is, do people understand that we are going to have a generation of teenagers who have been using drugs before the age of 25, before their brain develops?
So no say that, no say that.
Serious, I was outside.
Yeah. Natasha just highlighted
Yeah.
it, yeah.
So we have an issue, and I think we should keep sounding the alarm bell till all hands on deck, as we say, with this issue.
Yep.
Let me just ask.
And I totally agree with you. And this is what I was saying, is that I hope I don't get in trouble for this. But I think that there needs to be some sitting down and some conversation regarding putting a caption on the fact that 18 and under, and also if you have any underlying mental health issues.
That's right.
Yeah.
That decriminalization should not apply to you.
Yeah, so let me just, my last question, Ms. Oliveri, what's the length of time to recovery based on your experience? You've been in this business for over 10 years. A young person is going through psychosis and they are not able to cope without the drug. What's the length of time and what will be required of a parent to support such a child?
Well, initially, if you have it depends, because if you have a first-time user, somebody who tried marijuana for the first time, depending on if the marijuana was pure, if it was laced, that's a whole other conversation. But usually, if it's a first-timer, within 14 days of that person being in a controlled environment, you should see change in the person coming back to reality. But again, that will be dependent on how much they smoke, how long they smoked it, if it was pure and all of that. But within that 14 days, you would see a clearing up. Right? Once there is no other issues, you should see a clearing up. Within 6 weeks, that person should be cleared. However, again, other factors will affect it. So it's not a cut and dry, right? There are a lot of factors that could affect the person's recovery. So ideally, if a parent has to support a child who would have tried marijuana for the first time, you need to give them at least 12 weeks, which is 3 months, to really clear up. Right, and then start some serious intervention in terms of, counseling and psychotherapy.
Ms. Oliveri, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning. Very, indeed, a great contribution, and I'm sure the newsroom is going to be carrying some of your comments and Mr. Hill's comments coming at the 12 o'clock. So thank you once again. God bless you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, and take care anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks for the panel.
You're welcome. Debra and John, we'd like to thank you also. Any closing comment from you all, because we have to go to a break, and you all could stay listening because we have two professionals coming up next who can speak to men's issues and, of course, to tell us what's going to happen for 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Debra, John, you still there?
Yes, we are. We just want to thank you for the opportunity that, we can say stuff that can assist any parents who are going through the same or who are there out there looking for help, we can assist in any way, we are available, stuff like that. So we just want to thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, and this is not our last conversation, we assure you. We'll keep in touch with you all.
I just want to repeat the number to get on the Childline 996, and National Family Services in the Ministry of Social Development, they have a support system, and you could call 800 COPE, 800 COPE, 800 COPE. Those two numbers could be used to contact and get some support.
Right, so that's the voice of Mr. Burton Hill, who's a welfare officer at the Golden Grove Women's Prison, and guest hosting with us this morning. You're doing a good job. Thank you very much, Mr. Hill.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go to a break. And before we go, let me just add this quickly. You spoke something there about your son, and you told him if he wants to get into any arm of the protective service,
yes,
he needs to quit using drugs.
Yes.
Now, here's the rub, here's the thing. They can do that. They will go through the training. But to celebrate, we'll go back to the drug of choice.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have police officers, we have prison officers, we have fire officers, Coast Guard officers struggling with substance abuse.
Yes.
Don't say we didn't tell you all. I have tried my best, God knows, to be that person. I offered myself many occasions. It's my skill. This is what God gave me to do. And I wish that the door would open wider so that intervention can be done. And at least warn them of the domino effect that lies in their system if they open that door.
Yes.
If they open that door,
Yes.
you know. So let's go to a break. And when we return, we'll hear from Mr. Jason Forbes and Ms. Lloyen Scotland from Office of the Prime Minister. We'll be back. See you right there.
Ah, boy. Feel like I'm gonna buy myself a senorita tonight.
Nah. You know you might be promoting slavery.
Slavery? What you talking about?
Hey, modern day slavery or human trafficking is just what some of these people just do. You know some of these women were tricked to come here? Some are held against their will, abused, and even beaten. Most times the girls don't even see any of the money that is paid for them. And every night, they just have to come out looking nice and sexy for somebody like you. Human trafficking is a serious problem and a serious crime. Persons who solicit commercial sex services may be contributing to human trafficking. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
On Saturday, November 30th from 10 a.m. Join us at Cedra Secondary School in Bonas Village for a special health and wellness outreach event to mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Organized by the National Task Force on Trafficking in Persons Prevention Team with support from the Counter-Trafficking Unit, Ministry of National Security. This event offers free health services like blood pressure and glucose testing, HIV screening, and counseling, plus experience a powerful screening of the feature film Trafficked, shining a light on the reality of human trafficking and the urgent need to stand against it. Be there at Cedra Secondary School on Saturday, November 30th from 10 a.m. Let's unite and invest to prevent violence against women and girls.
Hi, I'm Michael Beckford, and I'm a participant at the Toronto Drug Treatment Court. You're listening to Ion Dependency with Garth and Natasha, Trinidad and Tobago. Drug Treatment Court works.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Ion Dependency, and we are talking, in the first hour, we talked about young people and marijuana use, and this is a topic that we will get into more depth in before the year is out. But now we are switching our focus to matters of gender, and we have two representatives of the Gender Affairs Division of Office of the Prime Minister who are going to tell us about two things that are coming up. One is the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, and the second is the Men's Bureau, which was recently launched. So we want to welcome
Mr. Jason Forbes. Mr. Forbes, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Mr. Noda. Good morning to the panel.
Right. Could you, we have Mr. Burton Hill here with us too as well. Could you for information, could you identify yourself to the public? Because we know that officials like you stay behind the scenes and not really front line, but who are we speaking with, Mr. Forbes?
Jason Forbes, the project execution officer of the Gender Affairs Division.
Right. Now, recently, and again, we would like to thank your PS, Mr. Ganga Prasad Singh, and his staff for listening to the cries of men at that first men forum that I attended. And now the PS is really gung-ho about setting up this men's bureau. What is the men's bureau? And we want men who are listening this morning to listen to this, what the Gender Affairs Ministry Office of the Prime Minister is doing on our behalf. So what's the men's bureau?
Okay, so the men's bureau plans to bid, which was launched on the 22nd of Friday, past Friday morning. It was established on the Gender Affairs Division of the Prime Minister as part of government's commitment to address the unique challenges faced by men and boys in our society. The men's bureau has coordinated mechanism for engagement of men and boys for gender equality and equity and their empowerment in children and babies, in a nutshell.
So that's the aim, right?
So that's what it's about.
Right. So what's the aim then? So what are we looking at here?
Okay, so the aim is to serve, empower, and educate men and boys through the implementation of policies and programs.
The target audience we assume is men, but is there room for women in this setup?
Of course, because
why all this so?
It's a men's bureau.
Mr. Forbes, just now wait, hold on.
It's a men's bureau.
Let me Tamika watching me.
We have to help.
Yeah, but Tamika watching me too in crab like people. Well, listen to me here. Mr. Forbes, we talking about men this morning, right? Go let give men a chance now. Let me strive. Let me live now.
All right.
Natasha asks if there's a room for women in the men's bureau.
Not even Miss Kwame Allen allowed in your room. Go ahead, Mr. Forbes.
The men's bureau is dedicated to serving men and boys children and business, right? However, let me give an example. There are many proposals, right? Supposing we want to do something that targets, for instance, young boys from a parenting perspective. Some parents still have some single parent homes and whatnot, and you have to engage the parents to enlighten them, inform them. So basically the end product will be very beneficial will be the parents as well as the young man. And the parent sometimes will be a mother, single mother who.
Yep.
Mr. Forbes?
Yes, that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so last night, Mr. Forbes, we spoke about the part of the criteria for men to access a grant as part of the Men's Bureau. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Right, so it's called the Survivors Transformation and Empowerment Program. It's designed for survivors and victims of domestic violence, man or woman.
Okay, so the grant would focus on, let's say, give us a scenario where a man would qualify for this, just to be very clear.
So if once he has a report that he's been abused, and that report is documented, but those are some of the criteria that we're looking at, police report, and other aspects. If the person wants to be empowered in terms of doing a business, he could be entitled to a grant. He could be able to apply for the grant for a scholarship of $10,000 to $10,000 per grant. There's also a grant for NGOs to train survivors of domestic violence as well too. And apart from that, there's our regular one-off grants that we distribute to NGOs that support the work of our division.
Okay. Now, before we push past that, let's say I'm about to leave prison next week, please God.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And while in prison, I developed a skill, maybe carpentry, masonry, plumbing, or whatever. But I'm leaving prison now without any prospects of, I don't even know how to start.
Or radio broadcasting.
Or radio broadcasting, because now we have radio broadcasters leaving prison. Now, how do I go about? Can I approach the ministry? Because now I would like to open a garage and not go back to a life of crime, but walk the straight and narrow from there. I have a skill. How do I approach you all?
Okay, so if he has that, for instance, he has an NGO and he wants to do something to the NGO, he could apply to our one-off grant as well.
So it's not for the regular gentleman. The criteria is that you have to be a survivor of domestic violence.
Correct.
So it's very specific.
Oh.
Yes, for this CHEP program. But there's also a one-off grant as well that we give to NGOs or individuals depending on the need.
Right.
It's just on need by case basis.
Oh,
okay.
I see.
Okay. And last night you spoke about the most of these services being offered and accessible online.
So part of the launch involved implementation of a web page, which has a men's bureau as well. So it was launched last Friday, right? And they have the different services that men can access. The different helplines, like for instance, Frankie TT, Lifeline, Suicide Prevention, Court, 800 Court.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, we also supposed to include on this site avenue for organizations to register their organization with us so we can know who are out there doing work with men, working with men and boys. So I want to encourage, once that part aspect is up, I want to encourage all the NGOs to register their organizations with us so we can know who are out there.
And what will be the registration process, Mr. Forbes?
So it will be online on our page, so it will be attached to our page and they will register online.
Okay. So is there because I wanted to repeat that again. We have.
It hasn't been up yet, though. I've not seen it on the page. It might have been taken down to add some adjustments and whatnot. So as soon as it's up, I want to encourage everyone to be looking at the page, keep looking at the page until it's still here, and they could have sign into it and register the organization.
Right. Now,
Go ahead, sorry. No, I was just going to ask, in the meantime, could you give us some details about the launch on Friday? Who were the speakers? What and what came out of it?
Okay, so we had Dr. Jerome Philipson, who would have spoke on the launch of it. He would have encouraged us to be mindful of certain things as well too.
And he's the founder of International Men's Day.
Yes. He would have been the one that re-energized it. Re-establish it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's go back a bit. We've for the very first time on Independency, we had the opportunity to interview a male survivor of domestic violence. As a matter of fact, he is still going through some stuff.
Yes, I remember that interview. I would have been listening at the time.
Right.
Yes.
Now,
He's still in need of support.
He's still in need of support. And there are a number of things that are not falling into place because the cooperation from the police and all these things have been very difficult. Do you all offer, or will the ministry offer to as well, some intervention or counseling even, or have someone speak with this gentleman so that they too can
help him to navigate the systems
yes.
that he has
So
to
this
interact with.
aspect of the division is now established, and we will see, as time goes by, we will add other features, other interventions as the need arises. So like in this case, this is something that we could look into as well.
Yeah, I think I want to support God in that regard. I've been in the prison service 26 years, and I can certainly tell you when you sit and talk with men, oftentimes women say men don't talk. Men need a safe space, and I would endorse and encourage a safe space being created, and you have a number of men who could facilitate and assist men just to listen. It starts with giving them a safe space to listen. So I would think that's an added ingredient that you all need to put in the suite of options you have there.
Mr. Hill, you're offering your services to be
I have no objections to that. I also have a number of colleagues who would be more than willing, a number of persons at the University of the West Indies who would volunteer their time to give support to men. The thing is, men need a safe space. That's why I say to people, you'll see a man by a bar talking about his prostate because it's a safe space. He would go on a fishing trip. I go and hunt when it's hunting season, and men talk about an array of issues in a safe space, and that's what men really need.
Prostate, you say?
Yeah, men talk about the prostate.
I never heard a conversation. I'm serious. That's something that, you know, and I remember Tamika asking a question one morning about her daughter seeing a man urinating at the side of the road, and you asked if there's a law against that.
Yes,
and some people came and they called in and they said, well, they know men have prostate issues, and they have to, I see taxi drivers do it, pull aside on the highway and take a leak.
Because you become incontinent as you get older and your prostate enlarges. It's
but you
difficult
don't see
to keep
women
it.
doing that.
Well, you all don't have a prostate.
No, but we do also. When you reach a certain age, your bladder does
Yeah,
incontinence.
but I think
Witness.
it's a gender issue. And again, you see, the ladies are trying to get in this space here, Mr. Forbes and God. This is the men's bureau, and people without a prostate seem to know better than us. We do. Safe space.
I was listening to the conversation, and a caller said, but when we in Canada or in the US, your prostate do act up then.
No, but
because
people
you don't do it by the side of the road.
Well, don't do by the side of the road. But I've traveled in the cold, and you better have a little bottle in the car, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They have a bottle or a little vessel in the car, and they urinate in that. The reality is, men have a prostate, and it is challenging sometimes. I mean, we were making a joke just day before yesterday about it. I mean, I wouldn't say the joke on air, but there is as you get older, sometimes in some spaces you could smell the drizzle because it's real. Men's situation is different to ladies.
Mr. Hill, we both have bladders, we both have kidneys, we both have a urinary tract.
But only men have prostate.
Agreed. But that is not the only cause for incontinence.
I agree. So, Mr. Forbes, you see how important it is to have a men's bureau. A men's bureau. All right? With men only.
It is affected men as well too. The well-being of men. So it's all of it is a holistic approach we're looking at as well.
Yes,
Physical, emotional, social, and spiritual well-being of men and boys.
Right.
But I really hope that what God has said there is something that you'll take on board, creating a hotline and spaces where men could talk about issues.
We also have the barbershop initiative as well too, which will have started in 2018, which will have engaged young, we started with the community at community level. We have done at the police service as well to the barbershop initiative. We will have done it at schools as well too, where we create a space for young boys, because in a barbershop, you know, normally you hear all types of concepts. What can I talk in a barbershop?
Safe space, a safe space. Yes, it's a safe space for men to talk, just like the hairdressing salon.
Correct.
Yes.
Let me quit while we are here.
Yeah, because I know when I say it, have women who go to a barber too, so,
True. That's true.
So, but those of you just joining us, you listen to Mr. Jason Forbes of the Gender Affairs Ministry, Office of the Prime Minister, telling us about the Men's Bureau. We're really happy for this, Mr. Forbes, and let's continue, and we will continue to highlight it here as well. And we thank the ministry once again for stepping up for the men. We thank your minister, Ms. Ayana Webster-Roy, and PS Ganga Prasad Singh, of course, and the entire team for looking out for the men once again. All right?
Okay.
So we're going to go to a break. And when any closing remarks from you, Mr. Ford, because we want to touch with Ms. Scotland.
Once again, I want to encourage organizations to register with us so we could know who are out there in the industry doing work for men and boys.
How do they register, Mr. Forbes?
So they can register online through the Men's Bureau portal. Once that form goes up, they can register.
So I'm a man. I have my telephone in my hand right now. What am I going to type in my search?
Right, so you're going to type in gender and child affairs. It will take you to the gender and child affairs page, and then there's the home page, the home button. Then it has the steps, and also the men's bureau will be there with the minister's message and overview of the men's bureau, resource grant as well, so that they can access. So not only do we have the step grant, but we have a link to the other grants offered by other ministries that are there as well too. We also have resources for men that they could call if they need any assistance.
Great, fantastic. I'm right here, and Natasha is making sure that she shows us we need the ladies around.
Yes,
we're navigating right now, and we are seeing it.
Us,
Thank you very much, God. Natasha has proven that we can't do without them.
She's too far wrong.
You see?
But thank you, Mr. Forbes. God bless. Keep up the great work. All right.
Thank you. Same to you as well.
All right. Respect. All right. So let's go to a quick break, and when we return, we will hear now from Ms. Lloyen, Scotland, and she'll tell us more about the Office of the Prime Minister and the work that they're doing. Stay right there. We'll be back when we come back. Yeah, no, and if you're having problems with the
slavery, a terrible time in our history.
All right.
Slavery, a terrible time in our history. The kidnapping, buying and selling of people for profit, the exploitation of another human being. It still exists today. It has a new name: human trafficking. Anyone can be a victim. There is forced labor, sexual exploitation, and domestic servitude. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem and an emerging concern for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. If you know of or suspect human trafficking activity, call the counter-trafficking hotline at 800-4CTU or 800-4288. Human trafficking is a crime. Identify it, report it, stop it. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Hi, my name is Professor Cram McKenzie from the Centre of Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto, Canada, and you're listening to Ion Dependency with Garth and Natasha, Trinidad and Tobago.
Standby. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to Independency, and we are now going to hear from Miss Lloyen, Scotland. Ma'am, tell me I pronounce your name correctly, please. Hello? Miss Scotland? Sorry. Hello?
Hi.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Hi.
Yes. Can you pronounce your name for us, please? It's an unusual name.
Yes, my name is Lloyen, Scotland.
Okay. Lloyen, Scotland, from the office. And your role at the Office of the Prime Minister, ma'am?
I am the project execution officer, one of project execution officers at the Affairs Division under the Office of Prime Minister, Gender and Child.
Right. No, you're breaking up a little, right? So if you can find yourself in a good position so that, and we hope you were following the conversation.
Yes,
right.
I tried to listen in as much as possible. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay, great.
So now we're looking at 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
Yes.
Folks, we keep getting the complaints on a Sunday morning. We don't know what happens, but the stream fluctuates. So those of you on radio, if you get having problems, those of you on Facebook, go of course to YouTube channel and Dependency.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. And And at the same time, we would like to thank the Facebook followers. We close to 10,000 now. So please continue to like and subscribe to the channel, and let's try and bring the YouTube channel up to scratch too as well. Now, Ms. Scotland, we've entered 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. For those the uninitiated, what is 16 days of activism against gender-based violence?
So as we know, that gender-based violence is any harmful act that is against an individual. It could be female, boy, girl, right? So it's any physical, psychological, financial abuse. So let's start there. So the 16 days, while we should acknowledge that gender-based violence happens every day to any individual, right? But the 16 days, which starts from November 25th and ends on December 10th, is just a period for us to really host activities to really sensitize the public on issues surrounding gender violence, and more so its impact on women. And so that's the main idea of the 16 days of activism, just to bring awareness to the public and how survivors of abuse could really access the various services that are available in our country.
So you mentioned the start and end of the 16 days. Could you tell us the significance of those start and end dates, the 25th of November and the 10th of December?
Right. So this would have been based on international conferences that would have been held, or issues that would have been happening across the world. So there are issues of violence that would have happened in Central America as well as further afield. So this period is really to acknowledge what started in 1999 around December 20th. That is when the resolution of the 16 days of activism was established, based on things that would have been happening in the Dominican Republic in particular, where it was celebrated of the death of the three sisters, Maria, Teresa, and Minerva Mirabel. They were brutally murdered, and in 1960, which was ordered by Rafael Trujillo, who was then president of the Dominican Republic. So it was a long time these issues were pervasive. So from then, this period of November 25th to December 10th was chosen as a time to really acknowledge gender-based violence against women in particular.
All right. And the 25th of November is also an international day for the elimination of violence against women. And December 10th is Human Rights Day.
Yes.
As well. What is the theme for this year's commemoration of 16 Days of Activism?
So the theme is towards Beijing prosperity, unite to end violence against women and girls. So what's the Beijing prosperity? Let's begin there. So it's really, again, another international, more so of a report showing that what countries have been doing in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, which is we want to end poverty, we want to end gender inequality, which those two are few. So if we want to, our countries could reach, or in activities that they formulate to really reduce these social issues that impact countries across the world. So we are reaching close to 2030, we are we're approaching 2025, and we want to see if our countries can reach towards reduce the impact of these issues.
Okay, so now, of course, there are a number of activities planned. For instance, the task force of which I'm a part of, the prevention group in the task force of the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons.
Right.
We have an event in Cedros next Saturday. That is Cedros Secondary School. The entire team going up there, Deputy Director of the Counter Trafficking Unit. So we know there are a number of activities take place. during that time. What are some of the events planned being held in commemoration of those 16 days by the OPM?
So annually we do similar activities around this time. So annually, what we are doing again this year, we are calling everyone to action to wear purple on this day, which is Monday 25th, as a day of commemoration to show their solidarity towards women and girls who are victims of abuse. So we are encouraging, or we have made collaborations with government buildings such as Whitehall to really drape the building in orange in solidarity to one of our building at Clare Avenue to make the public aware of the issue. So just similarly as we would wear red on World AIDS Day, which is December 1st, we will be doing activities related to that as well. And also on Monday, we will be having our first national youth rally that is held by the Gender Affairs Division at Queen's Hall. So we have reached out to secondary schools, especially those in the East-West corridor, to attend this event. So it takes the form of a sensitization to make youth from the ages of, let's say, 16 to 25 years old, those who are also out of school, they are also encouraged to attend. So it's a sensitization event through the use of entertainment strategies. So we'll be having a dramatization by, it's an organization called The Mad. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. They will having some dramatization to really make youths aware of the effects of HIV and AIDS and how it impacts persons. There will be also influencers who would encourage the youth to really learn about gender-based violence, gender inequality, and how it could impact on them, as well as how child care and all of these issues that affect children would also be used on that day to really make persons aware. We'll be also having various booths. So from NETCO and other NGO organizations will be there to showcase, bring awareness of the support services that exist. And on Wednesday, the 27th of November, we'll also be having a grant distribution ceremony for civil society organizations that advocate for the reduction or the ending of violence against women, right? We will also be partnering with the UNFPA, right, to distribute dignity kits. So what are dignity kits? So it's like an emergency bag that has basic items that a woman needs in the case of an emergency where she may be running from the victim, and she have these essential items like a sanitary napkins and whatnot. So we'll be distributing this again to civil society organizations and faith-based organizations that deal with women who are victims of abuse. Right? On Friday 29th, we'll be going to Tobago to have our second National Youth Rally at the Shore Park Cultural Complex. We will also be having another event in collaboration with our Child Affairs Division. So they will be having an event for the school-age children during the morning period, and then the outer uniform youth. They will be having, our Gender Affairs Division will be having an event, another youth rally for them, which is similar to the one that will be held on Monday at Queen's Hall. And on December 1st, as mentioned before, we'll be collaborating with the National AIDS Coordinating Committee, which is under our ministry as well, to have sensitization program with youth pan players. I believe we are collaborating at the Desperados Panyard, where we'll do a sensitization event on HIV and AIDS. And finally, we will end the 16 days with collaboration with the UN Women Multi-Country Office to host a workshop on the implementation of the National Strategic Action Plan, which would have been an action plan we have launched this year. It's really a framework on how we're going to mobilize other ministries and organizations to get involved in the fight against gender-based violence. So it's a whole packed period that we have every day. Almost every day we have an event. So we really want to engage the public as much as possible during this time.
This is Burton Hill here from the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service. I just want to commend you all on the exceptional work that you all are doing, and based on the programs you outlined, the events you outlined, sounds as though you've really gone out of the way to target quite a bit of the population. I want to put a plug, however, for a population behind the walls of the prison. We have the Rise Maximum radio station in the prison, pioneered by Garth and Natasha here, who invested a lot of their time and effort and expertise. It would really be nice for the men and women behind the prison walls to have access to some of the information you'll be sharing. I think it will be very empowering for them. Yeah? So if that could happen, that will be excellent.
Yes. Well, we did look into inviting youth from YCRC to attend these national youth rallies. So we're in the process of doing that, just waiting for feedback for them to attend, so we to lead them as well. But yes, I can forward activities to really inmates and society where I should refer to them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but persons behind bars, yes, they also need to be aware of these issues as well as the support services that may be available to them.
What we can do, and thank you very much for that, Mr. Hill, because just as you speak, and you can have some personnel go up to the radio station up there and speak to the people up there as well, right?
Yes.
So, and I will pass on Mr. Hill's information to you so that you all can liaise and make that happen, right?
Yes, thank you so much.
No, a while ago we were speaking to Mr. Forbes, and we were dealing with main issues, and yes, and but what are some of the major issues facing women locally and internationally? Or should I let Natasha ask this question? Well, what are some of the issues really? Tell us.
Well, of course, we are working towards the quality in terms of especially equality in the workplace, and especially in the workplace, because there is this topic of women being in certain types of jobs because of their nature biologically, versus women shying away from jobs like engineering and the sciences, etc. So you're seeing where women are now rising to the bar and stepping out of the nurturing maternal jobs like nursing and teaching or being a stay-at-home mom to really venture into or cross over into the engineering type job or the harder, more male-dominated jobs, right? So we see that happening, and there may be some competition happening, or the people believe the existence of the glass ceiling because you are female, you shouldn't be paid a certain amount of money, or you shouldn't work in a certain type of job. So that's one aspect. But when we look at in the home, in terms of the power dynamics of males and women, it's the whole, while even if the woman is still working and so forth, the gender-based violence is still happening. Right? She may have her own job, she may be taking care of the home and whatnot, but the issue still exists of where women are being battered, right? So that is what we see arising. While women who are unemployed, they are the majority of the victims of abuse. So that's why we've designed programs of women empowerment. But even working women are victims. So that's another issue that we're having. So how do we begin to unwrap these different aspects? And the next thing is, while physical abuse seems to be very pervasive, the beating, the hitting, but there's the psychological abuse that also exists, right? So the taunting, the name calling, the degrading, that's another issue, right? So financial abuse is another case where, again, women might be making their own money and so forth. But their partner may say, well, you can't spend it until they give me some. Or you have to give me a whole salary and to distribute it across the home. All of these things are where women are disadvantaged in the home. And it's often in terms of a power play that exists. So I am the man, I should be in control, I'm in the head of the home, I'm the leader of the home, which is our social norms. But how does that social norm, quote unquote, impacts on women? And again, how it impacts on children? How do children see the role of a man and woman? And then that perpetuates the cycle. As a young boy, as a young girl, you see your father beating your mother. So you think that is the way to show love, to show affection, to show care, when it is not. So those are the complexities that we deal with through our hotline and shelter services. And it's really sad to see the extent to which gender-based violence is reaching today.
Just on Natasha, hold on. Let me just ask this, and then you can come in. We interviewed a man who called himself a prophet here time, right? Who felt that he should not be charged for raping his wife because he said, once I'm married to you, I could rape you and get away with it. You telling me we have men in this country here and around the world who will tell a woman, give me your salary, let me handle this and take care of that. You saying that's happening today?
Yes, that is happening today.
Nah, man.
Of course it is.
What?
Yes,
No, I mean, I might be naive here, but still in 2024 with all the education out there and social media, and all, we have men thinking like that still?
Yes, God. In fact, there was a viral video that went viral from a young man on TikTok who was talking about he was regaling his mother. He's saying his mother is a superhero because his mother was raising 3 children. No mention of the father. Mother raising 3 children, working 2 jobs, coming home and making sure the children have food to eat and clothes on the back and going to school and everything, right? And his comment is that the young woman these days can't do that, right? And of course, there was backlash to that because women are saying, your mother, yes, she was making sure that she was providing for her children, but was she happy? Was she supposed to be in that situation? Where was the father in that situation? Yeah. And he is like, bigging up his mother. Of course, there is, and it goes back to everything that Miss Scotland said about equality in the workplace. Probably she's working a low-wage job and having to deal with people, and not being in the frame of mind to deal with people and God in customer service. Mm-hmm. She's doing unrecognized, unvalued labor in the home. She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's providing for 3 children on her own, right? And she is probably experiencing abuse or had experienced abuse at the hands of these children's father. Yeah. And these are the things that, and this man is saying how his mother is a superhero, but not understanding she does not have to go through that in order to provide for you as a son. And this son is going to look for a woman who is going to do that for him.
Yeah. And I think that
is the cycle continues.
Yeah, so that is the danger, I think, of social media. And it would be good, Miss Scotland, to reach the young people through social media, because people live generally what they see and experience. That's your default setting. The reprogramming really has to come with time. So he was doing something good in celebrating what his mom did. The danger is that is now his expectation of a woman in his life who he's going to have a relationship with. That's the danger. So I really commend Miss Scotland.
Miss Scotland.
Yeah.
Which generation of mother? Because my mother taught me. She insisted, she pounded it in our head, the 2 boys, that you must learn to cook, clean, wash, iron, do everything so that not only in case your wife leave you, you won't starve, but you'll be able to assist your wife to.
Because these are life skills, they are not gender-assigned roles,
right?
Exactly.
Now, Fix this from a... I can't believe. Go ahead, Miss Scotland. Go ahead.
Work in progress. The Men's Bureau will definitely have to address some of that.
Of
For
course.
sure.
Miss Scotland, we have young men now today thinking that a woman's role is still in the kitchen.
Yes. And to make child. Yes. She laughing, but it's true.
Miss Scotland?
Yes, I mean, she said it so blatantly, but I really know we say things beat around the bush way.
Correct.
But these are the issues that still exist. And we still see it happening where the woman's role is expected to be more in the home. That still exists. I think in Trinidad and Tobago, we're still traditional. We think that's still the norm. While, yes, I also see there are men helping out in the household more. We cannot negate that. But again, the majority of the women are doing a lot of the house chores, the child care, the first school and whatnot. So it still exists.
Yes. Now, how does this 16 days now include or benefit men, women, boys, and girls? Let's bring everybody now under the tent.
Yeah. So everybody, really an awareness. So from as long as a period started youth or targeting the youth on Monday, usually we have to start bringing the awareness of violence or gender-based environment at an early age, right? So we need to be aware because, as we've said before, people think that battering in the home may be normal, and then when a youth may come to the rally and be made aware that, hey, this is an issue, they'll be like, oh, the kind of light bulb moment comes on in their head, and it'd be like, this may not be right, but all my life, this is my norm. So it kind of sheds light on the issues that exist and bring awareness, as well as how persons could seek support. So men, women, if we have our men's bureau now, so it cannot be said that we are forgetting the men. So, and we have a dynamic team of both male and female staff that could collaborate on devising more programming and pushing our gender policy even further to cater to these issues, right? This 16 days of activism is also a period to empower persons who are in the situation to seek help and to make them feel like they're not alone, whether if you're a male victim, female victim, child experiencing child abuse. Support exists, but of course, yes, our support systems need huge improvement. But again, as I said, improvement, it takes time, and at least we're making the strides now in 2024 so we could live a better life in 2030 and onward. Yeah?
Now, before you go, if a member of the public, and this includes men too, where can they turn? What is the contact information? Where can they reach out to help? The OPM provide that as well?
Yes, well, in terms of where we always advocate and say the first line of help should be the police service. I am not here to say the effectiveness of it, but we always encourage persons to contact the police first, the nearest police station, call 999 as the first line, especially in an emergency case, right? We also have a hotline, as mentioned before, 800-SAVE. So that's 800 or 800-7283. When persons call the hotline, they could be referred to various services. So if they need shelter support, the National Domestic Violence Shelter is under our ministry as well as we could refer persons to other shelters that will be able to host them for a period of time to get away from the situation at home. So the women and sometimes their children could stay at the shelter for the period of time. And we are also trying now to establish a male shelter. So male victims could also go there and get the counseling and other support services that they may need, right? So Again, when patients call the hotline, they could be referred to give legal support, they need counseling support, and any other support services that they need, the processing for grants under social welfare, they will be referred to the necessary support services. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, before you go, they got somebody joined late and they wanted to find out, but about contact information. If somebody wants to know more about the observances in their neck of the woods and what, because there's a lot you all plan to do, they could also visit your Facebook page, that's the Office of the Prime Minister Gender Affairs,
Yes.
Gender and Child Affairs, right? They could visit there. But could you just tell us what contact information if someone wants to know more about the observances?
So if any person of the public or government organization that engages in this type of work, they could contact our office at 622-1625, and the main extension at call is 469. But 622-1625 is the number to call, and the receptionist will just refer you to our Department of Gender Affairs.
Ma'am, you've been really gracious. Thank you so much for taking your time and outlining what the Office of the Gender and Child Affairs Division, Office of the Prime Minister, going to be doing for 16 days of activism. Very comprehensive. We thank you and Mr. Forbes for spending your time with us this morning. And of course, I can't keep, can't stop mentioning your minister and your PS especially, Ganga Prasad Singh. Love his spirit, bad.
Yes.
And we wish you all the best. We know it's a beehive of activities always in that ministry. So we wish you all God's grace.
Thank you so much, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to fund this issue this morning.
You're most
Yes,
welcome.
most
We hope to
welcome.
have more conversations as we go along.
We have to because I want to really big up some men like the men out there who still respect their wives, respect their partners, could get up early in the morning and cook for them knowing they're going to work, and could cook for them when they come home so they don't have to go by us. So
He's talking
I
about
want to big
himself,
up the
by
men
the
like
way.
that.
Yes, big up.
I
big up.
You understand?
Yes.
No, yes, serious.
We love all you, we love all you.
So, Miss Scotland, thank you very much, all right?
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Okay,
bye-bye. So that was Miss Lloyen Scotland from the Gender Affairs Ministry Office of the Prime Minister. And so we have them men all there, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Timika,
them
you know
men
about like that?
Quite a few of them.
You see?
What?
It's pressure. It's pressure. And? It's
Tamika,
pressure. I know.
And I done this. I got up this morning. I made breakfast.
Right.
Yeah. I will get up in the morning, iron clothes, and we share the responsibility. If my partner goes to work, I would wash the clothes and so.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
No
how
shame
it
in
should
it.
be.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this generation, they're not following suit,
Listen
right?
to me. When I cook, I just have to take out mine quick, you know. No, serious.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's what our mother taught us. Eh? I don't know what mothers say they're telling their boys, but you know, it's really
Leaving
sad.
them to
It's
their own devices, which
Yeah.
is why they're coming up with all of these.
I had to.
Yes. My mother used to do it, so why you can't?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. But I think I want to say here. I had a conversation this week with a.
Yes, hold on. Short man, go to video A quick before we've been trying to show this for a while and just to tell the public what to do if this happened to you. So just stand by with video A. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was talking to her and she was saying, I called and she was in the middle of taking out lunch for her son.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And she was telling me, you know, she's of a particular ethnicity and that is a slant. So she was, so she was taking out food for her son. He's 19 years. And I said to her, you are doing some young lady an injustice.
Absolutely.
And she said,
Yes.
why? I said, listen, my father was a better cook than my mom. And my mom would be washing the clothes, and those days they didn't have washing machines.
Right.
My mother on the
On the
joking
joking
board,
board,
and she
yes.
washing clothes, and my father is cooking like a Sunday now.
Yes.
And I had to encourage her, let your son learn to cook.
Correct.
Because I said to her, one day you may fall ill, and he has to help you.
Yeah.
He has to wash the clothes, he has to hang the curtain, he has to mop the floor, So I'm saying this, and I want to say this very guardedly. Sometimes mothers overcompensate.
Yes.
They overcompensate.
With their sons.
And they enable their children to become dependent on a woman.
And expect an
With
ex-woman
their
to
sons.
And expect another woman.
With their sons,
With
say
their
that.
sons.
With their sons,
With their
they cuddle their sons and you know rough up the girl children.
Let's show you a video about carjacking quickly and
Quick,
tell me
quick.
what you think this old man should have done and what you should do in case this happens to you. Let's go to that quickly. Because this was a carjacking of an elderly gentleman. And poor fella, I don't know if it's fright. Yes. But
That
if
caused
this
them not
happens to
to
you,
speed away.
please. Now look at it. He approached his car. He looked up. He looked down. He gets into the car. And next thing you know, a young man runs up to him. No, he in the car already, you know.
The car is on, he switched on the car and everything.
But you see that,
He
right?
turned down the
Yeah.
wind. Well,
He's
I
in
don't
the
know if
car.
the windows were down already.
No,
but the
I don't know if
windows down.
the person make him stop. Look, he stopped.
It appears so.
So I don't know if
You
it's
probably flag him down.
yeah, but he came from look. Now we opened the door.
I wonder if he knows him. He might be familiar to him.
Now
I
if
don't
there's
know.
something you familiar with and they do you that,
Because why else would he stop?
Well, exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. It happened to me in the mall last week where a gentleman was just driving around in the mall distributing some tickets and approached me in his car. And I
No.
was a little distance off. So sometimes people are just being courteous.
No,
Yes.
look.
No, he's being.
No, the man.
They're tempting to drag him out of the car.
Yeah, when he should have stepped on the gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let him drag with the car.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No. Our next thing we have
But
to talk
what
about.
is he trying to do?
Look.
What is man? He's trying to get him out of the car so he could drive away with the car, right?
Yeah, look,
But
he crawl over the man, and now Burton.
how?
Another discussion we have to have that I know happening out there right now. We have a lot of zombies being controlled by Class A drugs.
Yes.
Who are doing some real dastardly deeds to people out there. I am sure of it. I am absolutely 150% sure. look how we have this poor old man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's not
crazy.
cool.
Look, he robbed the man and walking
Yeah.
away easy.
Yeah.
Now,
Crazy.
folks, again, I saw something yesterday on the highway leaving Digo Martin. A man shut down at the side of the road. How we come so heartless here, boy?
Well, you
You know
see,
everybody drive past the man.
Yeah, but
That is a whole
God,
other
in
conversation.
one breath you're saying he could have been being courteous.
Mm-hmm.
I have deliberately passed people. I remember going to the airport and a young lady is going through the immigration at the same time as me. She has a child here, and a bag. She says, "Sir, could you assist me?" I said, "No, unfortunately not."
Yeah.
I am
No,
not
but that's-
taking. No,
Well, I
but,
mean,
but the
airport
point
is a
is,
different story,
the,
yeah?
the
Yeah, I
point, the
understand
point
that.
is, people have faked being shut down, and they've been robbed.
Right.
Because as you come out your car, your engine is running most of the time.
Mhm.
You and I'm a prison officer, so I've been around for a while. Guys would tell you they would do that.
Well,
they would
Revolutionary
they would
last
they would
week.
attempt they would fake their shutdown. As you jump out, there's another guy in the bush somewhere, and
They're
while
running
he's
your
going,
car.
so your
No,
vehicle
but
gone.
I know the difference. You see, day and night. Even nighttime, I hardly will stop.
Yeah.
But daytime, the man on the right side, one after all that flood,
Yes.
he has actually shut down.
Yes.
But everybody drove past him.
Yeah.
And I had to stop, and the next young man stopped, and we helped push. That's all he wanted to do, not push to the left.
It's making us very cold and
Yeah,
careful.
very. But we have to stop now. We off the air. Mr. Enoch is here to do the 12 o'clock news. We thank you all very much for joining us this morning. Has been a very important and informative discussion. And we're happy to have Mr. Hill here with us.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
We hope
And
to
we
have
will
him
have
back
him
again
much.
soon. He did a very
Always
good
a
job as
pleasure.
co-hosting. Yeah.
Yes,
Always
yes,
a
very
pleasure.
good job.
If
So,
only Mr. Enoch would invite me sometime. I don't know.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will after today. Have a good week, folks. Take care. Major news up next with Mr. Daly Enoch.
Good
Jamaica, thank you.
Broadcasting from Port of Spain, Trinidad, this is the most